What role do you think the City Council plays in addressing the issue of food insecurity in Moscow?
That's another thing that I think about every day and I'm scared about every single day is food insecurity. It breaks my heart to think that we're at 30% poverty here in Moscow and that people are going hungry. I'm thankful for organizations that get together. I'm thankful for Food Not Bombs that I get to volunteer with periodically and the great work that they do to feed people. I'm grateful for those that go and stock the Vandal Pantry because it's empty. And I'm grateful for the people that work so hard at the food banks and here at the 1912 Center with Friendly Neighbors. It is absolutely something we need to be thinking about because if people are hungry, their needs aren't being met, their human rights aren't being met. And while we can't join as a city council and necessarily have a fundraiser to go feed everybody, we certainly can collaborate with different groups, whether it's different churches, different nonprofits, different individuals, or different organizations or educational academic units. We need to join together and feed our people. We live in a place of bounty. How lucky we are to be in Moscow. There's food all around us. We need to know how to share it. I'm thankful for Backyard Harvest and the good work that they do over there. They're amazing, and we need to feed our people. And as a city council, we can work on that together.
Thank you. Ms. Behrens, would you take that next?
Right, so I think with this, again, it comes to knowing our city really well, knowing the strengths of our city well, and being able to use those strengths for the good of our people. So that's going to come down to what are the nonprofits here? How can we best use their services to serve the people in our community who need it the most? And so I think the role of City Council is to make sure that we are supporting those different organizations as they're going about their work. We also need to make sure that we are communicating really well with our individual people in the community and empowering them to take personal responsibility, to be more and more invested in their community. That's something that we talk about a lot in the business world, for example. When you have a company culture, you need the people, the individuals to take ownership and responsibility of that. And that's what we need from our city as well. And City Council plays an important role by leading by example, and then also really communicating with the members of our community about what the local nonprofits are doing and how we can best use their strengths.
Thank you. Ms. Laughlin, would you field that one next?
A theme for Moscow that is shocking is both poverty and food insecurity. Both of those seem to go together very closely. And I think that when we look at that number of people who live below the poverty level, we need to come up with really specific ideas. So far, there are people that have food banks, and people use those, and lots of us have worked at food banks. And tell you the truth, I do not have an answer. There is poverty on the police. There's a whole commission looking at that issue. I don't have an answer to what do we do about poverty and what do we do about food insecurity, but it's something as a community we're going to have to address seriously.
Thank you. Mr. Arquidez, would you go next?
Yeah, the people I tend to work with when just in my day-to-day volunteer work in the city, I think one of the biggest things is education for them on being good stewards of their money and how they spend that. And that's not all the poverty, but that's some of it where we can help educate people. Another way is to help people educate them so that they can find a job that pays more. And then the last, we're always going to have people that need. And so I think each citizen just needs to be generous. I think we just need to give, and give till it hurts, and then give a little bit more. And I think if we were all generous and we gave to the food banks, the nonprofits. I work with a group of people where we're not an organization. We just help people. And there's many times where I'm pulling $60 out of my.
Mr. Arquidez, thank you very much. Ms. Bala?
I have the pleasure of working at an organization, one of the nonprofits referenced that works on this. So Backyard Harvest was started here in Moscow 11 years ago, and this year we've had the pleasure of delivering more than 37,000 pounds of produce to the different sites that we serve. Moscow, we were started here. This is sort of always going to be our central hub, but we have the pleasure of serving this community and lots of the rural ones throughout Whitman and Latah County as well. And as far as the city's role, I think that, the nonprofit that I work for, Backyard Harvest, does a lot of really great work, but it is addressing needs that are unmet that I think, in terms of the underlying problem, I wish that cities could talk about things like minimum wage in Idaho It's something where cities are pretty limited in a lot of ways. We're given the power that we have through the state. And so it's something where I think as a city councilor, it's important to me that we also do advocacy at that level. That law was called, they're called preemption laws, where cities are no longer able to make decisions about certain things. Plastic bags is another one. And it's really tough. We try to have a good relationship with them, but as a city, we can't always make the decisions I wish we could.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
So this is a good question. I think back of our church and what we've been able to do in the past, and when we call out for assistance, we get so many donations and so much that we're trucking food down to the food banks and stuff. And I think it's important to remember that the charity starts from the heart. Charity starts from the people. And I think that's the most important thing to remember. As far as what the city council can do for that is to really support the different organizations, the churches or the food banks or whatever, that can really support them to help them to do better. Because I think that that's where you get the most bang for the buck, so to speak. I don't think the city council has a role in enforcing things, but in really supporting those different organizations that really step out and help the community.